Picture this: the faint hum of a city waking up beyond a window that's too small to let in much light. The kind of window that frames a life in tight, unyielding squares. That's where I'm standing right now, in the middle of a kitchen that smells of yesterday's coffee and feels like it belongs to someone else. My name's Renee, and at 40, I've got a life that looks stable from the outside. Married to James, a man who's been my anchor for over a decade. But stability can start to feel like a cage when you've stopped noticing the bars. Our apartment, this cramped, dimly lit box we've called home for too long, doesn't hold us anymore. It's just a space we move through, two people orbiting the same routines, brushing past each other with polite nods instead of real connection. The walls seem to lean in closer every day, and the shadows in the corners whisper about all the things we don't say. James is in his early 40s, a steady presence with hands that fix things, leaky faucets, broken shelves, anything tangible. He's practical to a fault, quiet in a way that feels like a choice, not a flaw. His face, lined just enough to show the years, rarely betrays what's behind his hazel eyes. Deep conversations? They're not his territory. He'll talk about the weather, or the bills, or the car needing an oil change, but ask him about dreams or fears, and he'll find a reason to check his phone or step out of the room. I used to push for more, but somewhere along the way, I stopped. Maybe I got tired. Maybe I forgot how to ask. But lately, I've been feeling this itch, this restless hum under my skin, telling me we can't keep living like ghosts in our own story. So, we decided to look for a new home. Not just any place, but something spacious, something bright. A house with windows that don't ration the sunlight, with a view that could stretch our horizons and maybe, just maybe, pull us out of this stagnant fog. I want a place that feels like a beginning, not an echo. A place that might remind us who we were before we became this muted version of ourselves. I've been scrolling through listings for weeks, imagining open floor plans and morning light spilling across hardwood, picturing James and me laughing over something small, something we haven't done in years. It's a fragile hope, but it's enough to keep me searching. That's how we ended up booking a tour of a show apartment in a sleek, modern development on the outskirts of the city. The photos online promised everything I'd been craving: clean lines, towering glass, a skyline view that could make you believe in second chances. It's the kind of place that looks like it was built for people who know what they want, and I'm desperate to be one of them. When I called to schedule the tour, the voice on the other end belonged to Tobias, the realtor who sounded smooth as polished glass. Confident in a way that made me sit up straighter just hearing him through the phone. Now, here we are, stepping out of the elevator into the pristine hallway of the building. The air cool and faintly scented with something crisp, like eucalyptus. My heart's doing a little dance of anticipation as Tobias greets us at the door of the show apartment, his handshake firm, his smile wide and practiced. He's younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp features and eyes that seem to linger just a fraction too long when they meet mine. I shake it off, chalking it up to nerves, and follow him inside with James at my side. The moment we cross the threshold, I'm struck by the sheer scale of the space. The open-plan living area stretches out before us like a canvas, framed by floor-to-ceiling windows that pull the city skyline into the room like a living painting. The view is breathtaking, skyscrapers glinting in the late morning sun, a ribbon of river winding through the urban sprawl, all of it so vivid it feels like I could reach out and touch it. My breath catches for a second, and I can't help but imagine standing here on quiet evenings, watching the lights flicker on one by one. The polished hardwood floors echo under our steps, each sound crisp and deliberate, amplifying the emptiness of the space in a way that's both eerie and full of potential. The decor is minimalist to the extreme. White walls, a single sleek gray couch, a glass coffee table that looks like it's never been touched. It's sterile, yes, but there's an invitation in it too, like it's waiting for someone to breathe life into it. I glance at James, hoping to see a spark of excitement in his eyes, but he's already scanning the corners, probably calculating closet space or checking for outlets. Tobias moves through the apartment with the ease of someone who's done this 100 times, his voice a steady cadence as he points out the features. "Over here is the kitchen," he says, gesturing to an expanse of gleaming quartz countertops that catch the light like still water, paired with stainless steel appliances that look like they belong in a chef's dream. There, just beyond, is the balcony, a perfect spot for morning coffee, he adds with a little flourish, as if he can already see me there, mug in hand, gazing out at the world. His words are polished, but there's something in the way he says emotional touch points that stops me cold. He's standing by the windows now, one hand gesturing to the view, the other tucked casually in his pocket, and he's talking about how certain spaces are designed to evoke connection, intimacy even. It's a strange phrase for a realtor to use, and I feel a flicker of unease, like he's seeing right through me, past the polite smile I've got plastered on. I steal another look at James, but he's just nodding along, more focused on the practical stuff. As Tobias's voice trails off about the balcony and those emotional touch points, he gestures toward the hallway leading to the private areas of the apartment. My curiosity nudges me forward, even as that flicker of unease lingers. James mumbles something about checking the kitchen fixtures again and wanders off, leaving me alone with Tobias. I tell myself it's fine, it's just a tour, but there's a shift in the air, a subtle charge that I can't quite name. Tobias leads the way, his polished shoes clicking softly against the hardwood, and I follow, my own steps feeling louder than they should. We pass a couple of smaller rooms, but it's the master bedroom at the end of the hall that stops me in my tracks. The space is a sanctuary, or at least it's staged to feel like one. Towering windows dominate one wall, letting in soft, natural light that spills across the room in gentle waves, casting everything in a warm, golden glow. It's not harsh or blinding. It's the kind of light that makes you want to linger, to soak it in. The king-sized bed sits in the center, its sleek, modern frame all clean lines and dark wood, the kind of design that screams understated luxury. The bedding is pristine, untouched, a crisp white duvet folded just so, with pillows arranged like they've never been slept on. It's almost too perfect, like a photograph waiting to be taken. The air carries a faint scent of new fabric, clean and unlived in, mingling with the sterile freshness of the apartment itself. There's a quiet here, a stillness that feels heavier than the rest of the space, like the room is holding its breath. Tobias steps closer, his presence suddenly more pronounced now that James isn't nearby to balance it out. I feel the distance between us shrink as he moves toward the bed, his hand brushing along the edge of the frame with a deliberate slowness, almost reverent, like he's touching something sacred. My stomach tightens, a mix of discomfort and something else, something I don't want to name, stirring beneath the surface. I should say something, break the silence, but my throat feels dry. His gaze lifts to meet mine, and it's intense, unreadable, pinning me in place. Then his voice drops, low and deliberate, a murmur that seems to vibrate in the quiet. "This space," he says, "is perfect for firsts." The words land like a stone in still water, rippling through me. I freeze, my heart suddenly racing, pounding so hard I'm sure he can hear it. What does he mean by that? My mind scrambles for an innocent interpretation, but the way he's looking at me, the weight in his tone, leaves little room for doubt. I stand there, rooted to the spot, every micro moment stretching out like it's caught in slow motion. My breath hitches, shallow and uneven, as I feel the pull of his presence, magnetic and dangerous. There's a war inside me, loyalty to James clashing with something reckless, something long buried that I've tried to ignore for years. I think of James, just down the hall, probably still inspecting the sink or the cabinets, oblivious. I think of the life we've built, the quiet, safe routines. But I also think of that restless hum under my skin, the itch that's been growing louder, begging for something to break the monotony. And then, in a split second, I make a choice. It's not rational, not thought through. It's pure impulse. A surrender to the tension that's been building since I first heard Tobias's voice on the phone. I step closer, or maybe he does, I can't tell. The space between us vanishes, and before I can second-guess myself, we're on that untouched bed, the crisp, white bedding crumpling beneath us. It's not about passion in the way you might think. It's quieter, more charged with unspoken things. Tobias moves with a kind of precision, almost detached, like he's done this before, like he knows exactly how to unravel someone. I'm caught in the current of it, my mind racing even as my body betrays me. There, I'm still trying to catch my breath, the weight of what just happened pressing down on me like a physical thing, when I hear the faint sound of footsteps approaching down the hallway. My heart, already hammering from the rush of guilt and adrenaline, kicks into overdrive. I scramble to my feet, smoothing my shirt with shaky hands, my eyes darting to the rumpled bedding that screams the truth in a way I can't hide. Tobias is already up, a few feet away, adjusting his tie with a practiced ease that makes my stomach churn. His face is unreadable, a blank slate, as if none of this ever happened, as if he's already moved on to the next transaction. I can't even look at him. My gaze drops to the floor, my hair falling into my face, a pitiful shield against what's coming. The door creaks open, and there's James, stepping into the room with 2 coffee cups in his hands, the steam curling up in lazy wisps. His fingers tremble just slightly, enough to make the lids on the cups jitter, and I wonder if he's already sensed something's off. His hazel eyes scan the scene slowly, methodically, like he's cataloging every detail. Me, disheveled and unable to meet his gaze. Tobias standing stiffly with that damn tie now perfectly in place. And the bed, the once pristine sheets now a crumpled mess. An undeniable confession etched into every wrinkle. My chest tightens, a vice of dread squeezing the air out of me. This is it. This is the moment our marriage implodes, right here in this sterile show apartment that was supposed to be our fresh start. I brace myself for the storm, shouting, accusations, the raw hurt I know I deserve. I can already hear the words he might hurl at me, each one a blade I've earned. But the storm doesn't come. Instead, there's this eerie calm, a stillness from James that's somehow worse than any outburst. He moves with a deliberate slowness, crossing the room to a small side table near the window. He sets the coffee cups down, one by one, the soft clink of ceramic against glass echoing in the suffocating quiet. His face is a mask, unreadable, and I can't tell if it's disappointment carving those lines deeper into his forehead, or resignation, or something darker, something I've never seen in him before. My pulse is a wild drumbeat in my ears, each second stretching into eternity as I wait for him to explode, to say something, anything. I want to speak, to stammer out an excuse, but my throat is a desert and the words won't come. When he finally speaks, his voice is low, steady, almost too controlled. See? Now you know this place is truly yours. The words hang in the air, heavy with a meaning I can't grasp. I blink, stunned, my mind racing to unpack what he's saying. Truly mine? Does he mean the apartment, like I've claimed it in some twisted way through this betrayal? Or is it something more personal, more devastating, like he's handing over the wreckage of us, letting me own the mess I've made? I search his face for a clue, but there's nothing there, just that impenetrable calm, his eyes fixed on the coffee cups as if they hold the answers I'm desperate for. The tension in the room is a living thing, thick and oppressive, wrapping around us like a fog. Tobias shifts his weight, his polished shoes scuffing faintly against the hardwood, and I can sense his discomfort, the uncertainty of whether he should speak up or slip out. He clears his throat, a small, awkward sound, but says nothing. His presence an unwelcome reminder of my weakness. I'm frozen, rooted to the spot, my hands clenched at my sides, waiting for James to say more, to explain what he meant, to give me something to hold onto in this spiraling moment. But he doesn't. He just straightens up, his movements measured, and turns his back to me, facing the doorway like he's already done with this scene. "Let's finish the tour," he says, his tone flat, as if we're just moving on to the next item on a checklist. I stand there, still reeling from his cryptic words, my mind a chaotic swirl of guilt and confusion. His back is to me, broad and unyielding, as he steps out of the bedroom without another glance. Tobias hesitates for a split second, then follows, his polished demeanor slipping just enough to reveal a flicker of unease in his tight-lipped expression. I'm left alone for a moment, the silence of the room pressing in, the crumpled sheets behind me, a silent accusation I can't escape. My legs feel like lead, but I force myself to move, trailing after them down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. The tour continues, but it's like I'm walking through a fog. Tobias picks up his rehearsed spiel as if nothing happened, his voice smooth and professional again, pointing out the bathroom's imported marble finishes with a practiced wave of his hand. He gestures toward the walk-in closet, rattling off stats about storage capacity and custom shelving, but the words barely register. I'm physically there, nodding at the right moments, but my mind is somewhere else entirely, caught in a relentless loop of James's voice, that low, steady tone saying, "Now you know this place is truly yours." What did he mean? Was it sarcasm, a bitter jab at my betrayal, or was there something deeper, something I'm too afraid to face? I keep stealing glances at him, searching for a crack in that calm exterior, but he's a wall, impassive, focused on Tobias's every word as if the last 10 minutes didn't just shatter everything. His hands are in his pockets now, his posture relaxed in a way that feels almost performative, and it unnerves me more than any outburst could. We move through the apartment, room by room, but the air between us is thick with unspoken things, a weight that drags at my every step. I'm lagging behind, my feet scuffing against the hardwood, unable to match their pace. The gleaming surfaces and expansive spaces that once felt like a promise of renewal now seem cold, mocking, a reminder of the mess I've made in a place that was supposed to be our fresh start. My chest aches with the burden of it all, the impulsive choice I made, the look in James's eyes when he walked in, the way he's carrying on as if he can compartmentalize this pain. I want to scream, to stop this charade of a tour and demand answers, but I'm terrified of what those answers might be. When we reach the kitchen area again, with its sprawling quartz island and stainless steel gleam, I see my chance. Tobias is momentarily distracted, stepping away to answer a quick call, his voice a low murmur near the balcony doors. I turn to James, my heart pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. I reach out, my fingers brushing his arm, and he stops, turning to face me with that same unreadable expression. "Can we talk?" I manage to whisper, my voice barely holding together. He nods just once, and we step to the side, out of earshot, the vast kitchen suddenly feeling like a confessional. "What did you mean back there?" I ask, the words tumbling out before I can stop them. When you said this place is truly mine? James, I need to know what you're thinking. My voice cracks on the last word, and I hate how desperate I sound, how small. He looks at me then, really looks at me, and for the first time since he walked into that bedroom, I see something flicker in his hazel eyes. Something raw, something wounded, but also resolute. He takes a slow breath, his gaze steady, and when he speaks, his voice is quiet, almost gentle. But it cuts through me like a blade. I've known for a while, Renee, he says, each word measured, deliberate. I've seen it, the way you've been pulling away, the distance growing between us. I didn't want to admit it, but I felt it. And now, seeing this, seeing what happened, I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. But I'm not gonna pretend I'm shocked either. He pauses, his jaw tightening for just a moment before he continues, his voice still soft, but carrying a weight that pins me in place. I meant that you've marked this space with something real, something raw, even if it's painful. Maybe it's a wake-up call for both of us. I don't know yet. But I'm not walking away right now. Not today. His words settle over me like a heavy fog, both a relief and a new kind of burden. I nod, unable to speak, my throat tight with a mix of gratitude and shame. We stand there for a moment longer, the hum of the city beyond the windows filling the silence, before Tobias's voice cuts through from across the room, signaling the end of his call. James gives me a small, almost imperceptible nod, and we rejoin the tour, though my legs feel like they're wading through water. The rest of the walkthrough passes in a blur, the sleek lines and modern finishes fading into background noise as my mind churns over everything. James's unexpected calm, his admission of seeing our drift, and the fragile thread of hope in his refusal to walk away just yet. When we finally step out of the show apartment and into the cool air of the hallway, I feel like I can breathe again, though the weight on my chest hasn't lifted. Tobias shakes our hands with that same polished smile, promising to send over paperwork if we're interested, but his eyes avoid mine, and I'm grateful for it. I don't want to see any trace of what happened reflected back at me. James and I walk to the car in silence, the clack of our footsteps on the pavement the only sound between us. We slide into our old sedan, the familiar creak of the seats grounding me in a way I didn't expect. As James starts the engine, the low rumble fills the space, but neither of us speaks. It's not a hostile quiet, though. It's heavier, denser, like we're both sifting through the debris of the day in our own heads, trying to make sense of the pieces. The drive home stretches out, the city blurring past us in streaks of gray and glass. I stare out the window, watching the skyline shrink in the side mirror, that show apartment and its towering windows becoming a distant memory, though the imprint of what happened there clings to me like a second skin. We hit a red light, and I glance over at James, his profile sharp against the fading afternoon light. His hands are steady on the wheel, but there's a faint trace of a sad smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, so subtle I almost miss it. It's not bitterness, not anger. It's something softer, something aching, like he's wrestling with his own quiet storm. My heart twists at the sight, and I want to reach out, to touch his hand or say something to bridge this gap, but I don't. I just turn my gaze back to the window, the light turning green, the car moving forward while we stay suspended in this unspoken limbo. Back at our old apartment, the cramped space feels even smaller after the expansive promise of the show unit. I sink onto our worn-out couch, the springs groaning under me, the faded fabric rough against my skin. James disappears into the kitchen, the clink of a glass and the faint rush of water telling me he's keeping his distance for now. I'm alone with my thoughts, and they're a tangled mess, replaying every moment from earlier. Not just the betrayal itself, the reckless tumble with Tobias on that pristine bed, but the clarity that came with it, sharp and unyielding. I sit there, elbows on my knees, staring at the scuffed coffee table, and I admit it to myself. I liked it. Not just the act, not just the fleeting escape with someone who saw me in a way I hadn't felt in years, but the sensation of breaking free from the numbness that's cloaked my life for so long. For those few minutes, I wasn't just Renee, the wife going through the motions. I was alive, electric, even if it was wrong. And here's the thing, I don't regret it. Not because I don't love James, because I do, in a way that feels comfortable and safe, but because I needed to remember what it felt like to truly feel something again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.